Hi, my name is Ian, and today I want to talk about Wes Anderson's newest film, The Isle of Dogs, because my dog just woke me up and I need an excuse to fall back in love with these beautiful creatures. If you want my immediate thoughts on the film, I composed a haiku. That's a short poem. This beautiful film will make you love dogs even more. Snow on Mount Fuji. Isle of Dogs was my most anticipated film of 2018, which is saying something because in a month or two we're going to get a Star Wars film starring Donald Glover. This just goes to show how much I absolutely love Wes Anderson and his movies and his style. Moonrise Kingdom is probably one of my 3 favorite films of the past decade, and rightly so. He's an absolutely amazing filmmaker that toys all the time with sentimentality and nostalgia and sadness. It's a beautiful, beautiful, and unique combination. And like I said, a huge part of Wes Anderson's movies is the style. It's a beautiful style, and it seems to be becoming more and more distinctive as his career goes on. It's almost as if he's still trying to figure out what exactly he can get away with. But at times the style seems to really threaten and to overwhelm the rest of the movie, like it almost did in The Grand Budapest Hotel, which, don't get me wrong, is a movie that I very much love. But at times it seemed almost too artificial and too stylistic at the detriment to the characters, and to the setting, and to the plot. The scene that sticks in my mind the most is the scene in the elevator where the red from the walls is literally leaching onto all of the characters. Isle of Dogs is a stop-motion animated film though, which means that we as an audience expect artificiality, which means that in turn we're a lot more content and comfortable with his style. I want to talk about the movie really quickly. Mayor Kobayashi is a cat person, which means that he hates dogs, which means that as the mayor of the fictional town of Megasaki, he has exiled all the dogs to Trash Island. Atari Kobayashi, his distant nephew and ward, is a dog person, which means that he goes to Trash Island in order to try to find his lost dog Spots. There's also some additional side plots. There's one where a science politician slash political rival is trying to create an antidote for the dog flu, which is the excuse that Kobayashi has to exile all the dogs. There's another one where a foreign exchange student is trying to uncover Mayor Kobayashi's grand conspiracy theory. But these all play second fiddle to the real stars of the film, which are, of course, the dogs. And this is where I think Wes Anderson cheats a little bit, because all of his other stories, with the exception of Fantastic Mr. Fox, are all original stories, which means we're not coming into the movie with any preconceived attachments to any characters or settings or plot devices or anything like that. Isle of Dogs, though, is very much a movie about dogs and about how much we love dogs and about how much dogs love us. And so, if you already have an attachment to these wonderful, amazing, beautiful creatures, then that's going to draw you into the film a lot more readily and easily. It's a very simple plot, but then again, most Wes Anderson films are. He simplifies the plot so he can overload on style, and that's a trade that really, really works for The Isle of Dogs. This movie is also about Japan, or rather, it's a movie about the idea of Japan. It's very obvious that Wes has great respect for Japanese culture, but the Japan that he creates in the movie isn't exactly authentic or real. He's taken aspects of Japanese culture that he admires and has excluded others that he doesn't necessarily, and creating his own fictional version of Japan as opposed to trying to create Japan as it is. I absolutely love what Wes Anderson did with Japan in the film. I loved the scene with the taiko drummers. I loved the sumo wrestling scene. I love the sushi making scene. I love the scene where the foreign exchange student is welcomed by her host mother in her bedroom. All of these scenes have great moments of authenticity and absolute beauty. But it's very important to note that this isn't the real Japan. I liked how in a funeral scene The music that they were playing over the radio was from Akira Kurosawa's film The Seven Samurai, and I absolutely loved how all Japanese characters actually spoke Japanese. There was definitely a danger of Wes Anderson exoticizing Japan in this film, and I think he obviously did to an extent, but by trying to create his own fictional version of Japan as opposed to trying to recreate what already exists, he displayed a level of respect and reverence for a country and culture that I think goes a long, long way in making this film acceptable in terms of a white dude making a film about Japanese people. Isle of Dogs is a pretty close to perfect film, but it's not an entirely perfect film. I have a couple bones to pick with it. One of them is, why do all the dogs have white people names? Like Rex, or Duke, or Boss, or Chief. These dogs are supposed to be Japanese. Japanese dogs have Japanese names. I'm also slightly bummed out as to why there were no Shiba Inus. This isn't something that popped up when I was watching the movie, but in retrospect, it seems very weird that a dog breed that is synonymous with Japan was not present in a movie about Japan at all. I understand that this is supposed to be a film for Western audiences first and foremost, and so therefore having characters that they can actually relate to because they look like their dogs and they're named like their dogs is important to Wes Anderson, but I still feel as if there could be some sort of middle ground. I'm also kind of annoyed by Mayor Kobayashi, the main villain. He hates dogs, but it never says why he hates dogs. I would have loved for there to be a reason why he hates dogs and why he feels the need to exile all these dogs, besides the fact that his name is the same as Kobayashi in a prophecy or a history or a folk story that's told at the very beginning of the film. Even if there was some little excuse as to why he hates dogs, such as he was bitten by a dog when he was a kid, would go a long, long way to show why he has animosity for these absolutely beautiful creatures. At the end of the day, this is a Wes Anderson film, and if you love Wes Anderson films, you will love The Isle of Dogs. If you happen to love Japan, you will love The Isle of Dogs, and if you happen to love dogs, you will love Isle of Dogs. And if you happen to be someone like me who loves Wes Anderson, loves Japan, and loves dogs, then Isle of Dogs is going to be one of your favorite films of all time. Thank you very much for watching. I give Isle of Dogs a very respectful 4.5 good boys out of 5. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna go back to sleep because it's Saturday.